right, well, I must say we definitely put these two nations to the test and was one that had to be done in this epic battle of Russian bias versus German engineering. Now, these nation-to-nation showdowns honestly have been quite fun. This one was one that I was actually quite excited for. Was a subscriber request, and when the last nation to nation one I did was Russian bias versus Chinese fury, and the Russian ones took the cake on that one. They had definitely won in that one. If you haven't seen it, you can go check it out. This one, now the Russians or the Russian tanks are now going up against the German engineering. So how this basically worked is we had from each side tiers 4 through 10, and each side had one tier of each. And really, anyone could pick anything they wanted. I didn't put a preference or pick 4 people on what to play with. They got to choose, and these were the tanks that were chosen during these variety of different rounds. Plus, it's not the same set of players. I get a lot of subscribers in my training room sometimes, and so it's awesome to get the wide variety of different players being able to come in and switch them around, mix things up, just so that the skill and everything else is different from round to round. And I decided, as I kind of always do, for those that know me, when I do these battles, I pick the lowest tier because that's the tier that nobody necessarily wants to be. But I decided to be the Hetzer, and I decided to go with the Hetzer at such a low tier because I need a tank destroyer. I need something that's going to have penetration to get through these higher tier tanks. And honestly, it's a pretty good tier 4. And I'm honestly quite surprised at what I can pen with this thing at such higher tiers. I got myself in a bit of trouble with that 252U putting quite the hole in the side of me there. Just going right around. Excellent in just being able to penetrate. And the Germans had taken the first round, and that was it. So German engineering had won round 1. Quite impressive. Good work from everyone. Very well done. Now going into round 2. Still the Hetzer, but once again, mixed it up with a variety of different players, some different tanks. We're going to go see just how this one plays out. Just look at that. Beautiful. Now, I decided to be on the German side just because the Russian nation won last time. So we're going to see if the German one is the disadvantage, but we'll kind of see. German engineering off to a great start. Trying to use my sloped armor in the front of my tank just in case, but against these other stronger tanks, it's really not going to do much. I'm trying to just peek out to see if there's anything I can do. You can see that ST1 or STI just absolutely red. Not going to get a shot here. I've got to move in. I'm going to try aiming for this A20. See if we can come down this alleyway here a little bit. I don't want to expose myself to these other higher tiers. So I'm going to try to just sneak down over here and just see what we can do. And when doing this at a tier 4, it honestly was quite scary because you're like, if one of these higher tier tanks, the tier 9 or tier 10, drop down on me, I am just done for. So excellent success in being able to get over here to the A20. trying to do what I can. He's most likely going to pen me because he's looking down on me and my armor's not as effective. So I see these other tanks here, and I see they're somewhat distracted. I'm going to try using the landscape as much as I can to protect myself. So far, both sides are down one. Now the Germans have lost 2 of their tanks, and Russia is only down 1. And the one that they're down on is just their tier 4. We've actually lost one of our tier 10s, which definitely puts us in a really bad spot. So trying to come up here and flank. The fact we had lost our tier 10 and they still have their tier 10 in the game is not good. Able to get rid of that SU. And this is where I make a pretty bad mistake, thinking, okay, maybe I was able to get a shot off. But, of course, that did not pan out, and I left myself way too exposed to some of the other Russian tanks coming up over here on the side. German engineering, or Germany, is just falling apart right now. Just a couple tanks left. Doing a great job fighting down to the last man. Doing really good in circling, but unfortunately isn't quite able to take out that SU as too many cannons were focused on him. So now the score is even. So German engineering has won 1, Russian bias has won 1. So now going into round 3. And we typically, when I do these nation versus nation, we only do 3. As I'm climbing up this hill here, I start getting some messages. This one was a bit of a gray area, I would have to say, because there were some messages saying one of their players was AFK, and then sometimes it wasn't, and then at the end you can see him. So I'm not really sure what was going on. He was a little further back, but we decided to do one more after this just to double check and not give any, one way or another into one side, into, something that wasn't completely fair. So I was just typing the message there because if we have an AFK player, obviously it makes the challenge or the battle invalid, and we have to do it over again and just swap out different players. So excellent shot there. Once again, trying to be extra careful. I mean, any of these higher tiers can easily penetrate me or take me out in almost one hit. This is more of my comfort zone. There's some lower tier tanks over here on the side that I'm trying to deal with. And here you can really see kind of the beauty of that German accuracy. Luckily, I was able to bounce around here. This is where I'm like, oh shoot, shoot. And luckily, I was able to make it so that SU did not pen me with an HE round. So that was quite intense. Now, some of the biggest differences between the German tanks and the Russian tanks is Russia isn't typically known for their accuracy, and this is beautiful here. Being a tier 4 and knowing I had hit a tier 10 was like, oh yeah. And then this too, completely red, let's do a little damage. Was able to shoot that under part of the ST1 or STI and just contribute a little bit there. But anyway, and what I was saying is that the biggest difference is the Russian tanks are typically known for their derpy cannons, but they don't have the best accuracy. And when it comes to German engineering, these type of tanks are typically known for being really accurate. And so those are some pretty big differences, both having potentially some fairly beastly armor on each side. If you look at the German side with its Maus, E75, very well armored, just in general, lots of armor, tanks that are very well armored, and even on the Russia side with tanks like the IS-4 and such. So went into another one here. This is now the decision-making round in which nation will take home the cup and be classified as the winning nation. So here we are, flanking over here on the right. So we had the Germans that won round one. We had the Russian tanks that won round two. And then round three was a little bit of a gray line. And then now we're going into round four. So Russia has really got to make a comeback here. They've really got to pull through if they're going to win this. Did not have much luck on that shot with my Hetzer. Felt bad. I was blocking this grill, and I was kind of tunnel visioning on my target here. And when he had mentioned to me to move, I was like, yeah, I definitely want you taking the shots because you're going to be way more effective. And here, now I just had to load up on APCR, but even APCR, I was impressive with what I could pen on some things. Fortunately, I just did not quite get that shot there. And I ended up completely kind of forgetting about the situation on my right, or thinking that I had more cover than I did, and ended up backing up and just getting myself way too out in the open and getting myself obliterated. So we'll see the Germans are down one tank, which is just me. They just lost one of their tanks. Germans just lost one. Russia just lost one. This is going to be a heated battle. STI coming into the fight. E75 takes a hit. E25 is not looking too good here. Getting focused on by the 252U and the T-3485. Ooh, Russia's ahead. Germany's down 3 tanks. Oh, this may be a close match. I know how this one goes just by watching it, but even watching it all over again, doing the recording with my voice, this was a good match. Okay, Russia's now down. Now the score's even again. This is getting real close. E75 looking like he's in trouble. Grill coming around the corner. Hopefully save the E75. The T-3485 coming up right behind E75. E75 takes out that 252U. Scores in Germany's favor, and down to the last tank, their Tier 10 IS-4. And it looks like German engineering took it. There was one invalid match. If you count that, that would have been 3 wins for Germany and 1 win for Russia. But if not, 2 wins for Germany, 1 win for Russia. So great participation from everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is the Muffin here. You guys stay cool and keep tanking.